is very, very busy out there right now. And this is the moment, Nico. Air jack didn't deflate. Not a problem. Couple of heavyweight engineers from the Kessel team.
Ooh, heavyweight.
I meant heavyweight talent.
Yes, I hope so. I hope so. There's Extra Sergeant heavyweight more. Heavyweight and talent he is as well. And could this be a challenge for the 140 barrier?
Ooh, within 5 100s.
Not far off, certainly, and that was a very, very good lap by all accounts, and certainly means that he consolidates and reinforces his current provisional pole. I don't think that he's currently on a quick one, but
Thomas Gostner has just gone within 3/10 as well. Now there is Axel Sardigan's garage. To the left-hand side of your picture, you can see Daniele Diamato, who is Axel's driver coach, and Daniele is no slug when it comes to motor racing either. Very successful driver.
Quite the opposite of a slug, even though I don't know what botanically that would actually constitute. He's definitely one of them cheetahs.
Sloth, that's it, sloth.
Yeah, sloth, no. More cheetah-like than sloth-like, for sure. Peter Christensen equally very, very good first sector, actually purple. The second sector not quite there, but certainly on trajectory for a significant improvement from his current P11. Now, let's watch the rest of this lap as he crosses the timing line.
Peter Christensen vaults from P10 to P4, a 6th place improvement in the Hot 100. As he goes to P4 then, that's 2.5 down on Axel Sardigan. So it's Sardigan, Gostner, Herdvipo, Christensen, Nussbauer, Gostner, Chung, Skeltermar, Gostner, Dillon and Loflad. And what have we got left? Around about 5.5 minutes to go, so still some improvements to come, I would suggest.
Absolutely, we've got all 11 cars out on the track, so traffic certainly a topic and potentially an issue for everybody trying to improve, and well, with the exception of Axel Sargent, everybody's going to try to improve on their current position, because why would you be satisfied with where you are unless you're P1? There is John Dillon in the foreground. Thomas goes there, we can see the time.
Axel's bringing his car in and he's going to park it, isn't he? Because he feels that he has done enough, Nico.
Indeed.
And the strategy here is, we saw the new Pirelli P0s going on to the Axel Sardigan car. He went out, I think he probably did 2, if not 3 laps. Delivered that time of 1:40.052, and he's bringing the car in now to a little bit of lawn mowing going on there from the car of Thomas Loflad, and a little bit of gravel spraying as well. But yeah, Sardigan is going to just park that up, isn't he, and keep his tyres as fresh as they can be for when it comes to race time.
Absolutely. Christian Herdvipo on a good first sector, as we can see on our timing screen. Also still very, very quick through 2 sectors. So he is challenging for that front row, and there we have him. ML Ferrari Sportivo, and they are attacking. He is attacking through that final sector. Very, very technical. Lots of tight turns, as we already saw that uphill sequence of turns, and now he is heading full throttle towards the timeline. 1:40.052, Dave.
A 1:42.28. So within, there's Pino Frascaro looking on, who's taking some sighting of him going out in the Shell-Ams, of course, but within 1 3/4 of Axel Sardigan was this man, Christian Herdvipo. So we'll see what Christian Herdvipo, I think he's going to go again, Nico. What have we got? 3 minutes remaining in this qualifying session for our Coppa Shell drivers. The winner yesterday was Axel Sardigan. The P2 went the way of Thomas Gostner, and P3 was von Skeltermar, and here comes Peter Christensen, also improving as well. Sector 1, a better than anyone. Sector 2, a personal best. He's about 5/10 down on the Axel Sardigan time. So Axel is in the garage talking to his driver coach Daniele Diamato. The one that's got closest to him is Christian Herdvipo, but Peter Christensen's getting closer as well. He's rounding the final turn right now, and it is something of a full chat drag all the way to the timing line for Peter Christensen. You actually climb a little bit uphill, and he improves 2 places, goes from P7 to P5. There indeed is Axel. and Daniele Di Amato. So starting with a 1:40.052. We did wonder whether we would see times into the 39s. There's some of the distributed gravel from Thomas Lofland out there on track. And with 2 minutes remaining, here comes Christian Herdvipper, who that last lap was not as good as the previous one. Will he go again? It would certainly look like it. And right behind him, Nico, is the car number 193 of Manuela Ghost, which is a completely different livery, because that car, if I'm not mistaken, is that of her brother David.
Yeah, absolutely. And Manuela, obviously, she had some issues yesterday, and that means she's in a different car today, and very different to the graphics that you can see on screen, so don't get confused by that. What was once light blue, white, and a little bit of light pink is now gold and red, and yeah, she can drive it certainly, and she's up into P3, trying to make up for yesterday's non-finish and very early retirement, and getting used to a car. And, you know, it has to be different. It has to be said, even though the cars are identical in theory, it's like every pair of shoes, it just fits a little bit differently. And when you're trying to move the car really at the very limit of adhesion, those nuances really make a difference. You need a little bit of time to get used to it, and Manuela is finding her way quite well to the tune of a P3 for the moment.
Yes. Yes, she is conducting that very well, isn't she? And you're absolutely right. The nuances of each car is slightly different. I rather think that Christian Herdvipper has taken the max out of the tyres that he's on in terms of qualifying pace. And as you can see, Sector 1 and Sector 2, cumulative target time 1:40.052 is way away from that, because as we close out the sector time, well, not so far away. What around has gone John Dillon?
Yeah, that's smoke, and there is liquid on the
I think
on the
you're
track.
right. Let's take a look.
Oh, and that doesn't look like there is impact, but ooh, well done.
Some very good avoidance from Thomas Ghost, to be fair, Nico.
Very well done. I think it's his car that is dropping the liquid onto the track, and I rather think that, I mean, the session is over, so we won't see a red flag, but we may see a little bit of a delay to the next session, which is Coppa Shell and qualifying afterwards, because I rather think that that liquid has to be dealt with. And indeed, we do have, and I think that is a consequence, Alexander Nussbaumer, who's also spun around.
As a consequence, hasn't he? You're quite right.
Well, Manuel Agosta certainly not unhappy with P3, we'll think.
I think that's very creditable in a different car, Nico.
Oh, absolutely, and just remember how competitive this Coppa Shell in particular is. And
well, that was a brilliant power slide. If there'd been a turn there, that would have been worthy of, that was a really good. He held on to that nicely, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the Alexander Nussbaumer drift show, which he will appreciate that he was going through it, but
there is Daniele Di Amato, and there's Frank Herter, the boss of the Herter racing team. There you can see Axel Sargent in conversation with Josef Schumacher, who of course was victorious yesterday, taking his first win in the Ferrari Challenge, was Josef Schumacher. So nice to see him taking a look at the data. Let's go down and pick up with Lidvika now.
Yes, Manu. Can you tell us more about the qualifying session of this morning?
I'm super happy about the qualifying of this morning, as I just used the old tires, no new tires for me, so it's a really great performance. We don't use a new set of tires because I will start at the very back of the grid because I get a penalty, so and I have to use the new car, so it's for me I started at the very last row. But I'm super happy about the speed and the performance of the qualifying.
Manu.
Thank you very much. Good luck. Bye-bye.
Well, of course, Manu then deciding to keep all the longevity in the tyres. So two successful drivers together there, Axel Sargent and Josef Schumacher. Frank Herter congratulating his driver, Axel Sargent. He will be receiving the Roach Form Pole Position Award, Nico.
once again.
He's got a few of those.
Yeah, he's got a few of those, and he will celebrate that like every other one, and put it on the side and focus on the race ahead, because that's really what counts for him. It does give him a point. Don't forget about that. It is an extra point in the championship. Well, I was and I wasn't. But obviously, the big reward for him awaits at the end of the race. He hopes, at least, and that's what he will aspire for.
I have to say, for Manuel Lagosna, running in a different car and a scrub set of tyres to go P3, that's impressive. Axel Sagan again, Christian Herdvip and Manuel Lagosna are the top three. Thomas Gosner, P4, then it was von Skeltmar, Peter Christensen and Eric Chung. Alexander Nussbaum, John Dillon, Corinna Gosner, and Thomas Loflad finishing P11 in that qualifying session for the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell drivers. Up next is going to be the Coppa Shell AM drivers. And here we can see the car that has vaulted to the top of the timing table, and once again we'll be starting from pole position with a time of 1:40.052. Just 5/100ths away from a sub 1:40 time. It is Axel Sagan. Well done to Axel Sagan, who goes from pole position again, and as Nico quite correctly says, adds to his points tally by a further point. Well done, Axel. So it might be a slight delay then to the Coppa Shell AM qualifying to allow some fluid to be mopped up around the track, and he always performs, doesn't he? And again, Axel. 2, 3. Well done.
Jump, jump! Ferrari Jump is going to make you jump, jump.
We're 6 minutes away from Coppa Shell AM qualifying, and for the protection of the broadcast audience, I will say thank you so much for watching Coppa Shell qualifying, and I'll let Nico speak again for a few moments. We're going to be back with Coppa Shell AM qualifying next. Hello everyone, and this is the Estoril circuit, and it's Coppa Shell qualifying in the Ferrari Challenge, which is the start of this session has been delayed a little bit, we think, for some mopping up of some fluid drop from the John Dillon car in the Coppa Shell qualifying. The Shell AM drivers waiting to be released out onto the track. The latest information we have is that the session will start at 9:40, which is, what, about 5 minutes behind schedule? Well, no more than that, Nico.
Yeah, we are about 10 minutes behind schedule, I believe, but more on that, and that gives us an opportunity to go down back into the pit lane with Ludovica.
Yes, I'm here in the box of Josef Schumacher. Yesterday, this driver made a perfect race after a good qualifying session in the Saturday. And today, he needs to pay attention and to replace and repeat the best race of yesterday. This is the car, this is the last advice by his coach before starting his qualifying session. Yesterday was very good on in the overtakes on Motoiko Izuzaki, and today we pay attention on these drivers, and this is the start of the engine eyes of his car.
Thank you, Ludovica. Yes, it was a great day for Josef Schumacher, and in fairness, his overtake on Motoiko Sasaki was textbook stuff. He did a really good job. Congratulations to you, Josef, once again. I know I had a conversation with him after the race yesterday, and he was almost speechless, Nico. He was so thrilled that he took his win. We're being advised that between turns 7 and 10, the surface may still be a little bit slippery. That's what race control are advising us. Well, they're not advising us, they're just telling us. They're advising the drivers, because neither you nor we're out there on the track in a car.
Which is good for everybody involved.
Probably is, but there we can see the Tommy Lindroth car then. Just awaiting being released. Some cars have been released, and then some haven't. So it's curious. Yes, you can go to Tommy. Maximum attack from Tommy Lindroth today.
Oh, absolutely. I think they were just checking that the road toll sticker was correctly attached to the windscreen, so all those tolls have been paid. And there is the 140 car of Pino Frascaro, who we saw earlier on the pit wall, getting inspiration from the Coppa Shell drivers, and now he's getting some final instruction, technical assistance, and then he will go out as well. 19 minutes remaining in the session, and there is Motohiko Izuzaki, who led the race yesterday for a very long stretch.
Yes, he did.
And then didn't finish the job.
No, because he was overtaken by Josef Schumacher, wasn't he? But in fairness, it was a busy part of the busy part of the race. I mean, the race was, stop short of saying chaotic, but there was a lot going on, and you know, Josef Schumacher just took his chance when the chance was given to him, and he made the overtake and made it stick. One driver, Nico, that needs to really, you can see, look at the absorbent material that's been put on the track there to soak up the fluid that was dropped from the John Dillon car. The one driver that needs to right the wrongs of yesterday, in my opinion, is Kirk Beervold, who had a torrid time of it in the race yesterday, and it was DNF for Kirk Beervold, and Kirk coming into this weekend, of course, was leading the Coppa Shell Drivers' Championship. Big battles going on between him and this driver, Motohiko Izuzaki, has been phenomenal for us to enjoy and to watch. So we'll see what Kirk Beervold is able to do today to, as I say, perhaps right the wrongs of yesterday.
Yes, absolutely, and we can see our first timing on your screen. That is Motohiko Izuzaki, who was going on the first flying lap of this qualifying session. Earlier in the Coppa Shell session, it was Axel starting into pole position with just a smidget over 140, so that is your reference time. I'm not sure if the Shell AM drivers will be able to replicate that, even though the track certainly has evolved a little bit. We do have that fluid and absorbent on the track.
Isn't it? That is going to hamper.
But it may be towards the end of the session that is less of a factor, and so warmer track may afford the Shell AM drivers the opportunity to try and get on terms with our Shell drivers. It doesn't matter for the grid formation. on the grid later in the race, it will be all the Shell drivers at the front and all the Shell Am drivers behind them, irrespective of timings.
They're in two blocks, aren't they?
Essentially, exactly. There's two start groups, right back to back, bumper to bumper, but obviously you try to qualify as high up in your own group as you can possibly can, and whatever that sentence was, it wasn't English. Motohiko Izazaki certainly is finding the way around this track, and you can really see where the fluid was laid.
You're right. And Motohiko Izazaki, who's been pretty much at the top end of the timings for joining the all qualifying sessions, and as I was alluding to a little bit earlier in this program, he and Kurt Bervold have been having a brilliant battle right at the top of the points chart. I should say a big welcome back to Stephen Earle, who's racing for Kessel, the American racer who is here and said to me earlier on that he plans to be here for the rest of the season as well, as Kurt Bervold now goes quickest with a 1:44.368. Then it is Stephen Earle, the very driver that I was talking about, with a 1:44.875. Now, Motohiko Isazaki's last very good time was taken away because of track limits, as Muglu Tarsev has found himself on an escape road, so he will make his way back out onto the track, and that's around turn 7, I believe, and that might just be indicative, Nico, that it is still slippery around there. Let's take a look in replay. Well done to our guys in the track there, who are on this very, very quickly. So here is Muglu, braking, running downhill. Well, I'm not sure that I can say the slippery surface had anything to do with that, whether he just missed his turning point.
Certainly no indication that we could pick out, which would be very obvious, but be that has made no impact, and therefore the qualifying session continues for him as for everybody else, and one of those who's continuing for is Stephen Earle, who is currently running in P2 with a 1:44.875, but is on a trajectory to improve on that previous time, and going through that uphill reverse corkscrew.
Yes, yeah, that's a good description of that, friend.
And now taking the final 2 turns, coming towards the start-finish line, and that will give us an updated time, and I dare say he might leapfrog Kirk Berwold and going from P2 into P1 once he crosses that timing line. Motohiko Izazaki now ranked in P3, but it's Earle. Well, 1/1000th proves me wrong, you know, just to rub it in.
That's unfortunate. You probably didn't deserve that, but yeah, you're right. It was a 1/1000th deficit to Kirk Berwold. This is Tommy Lindroth then, and Tommy has got the hurry-up pills because he's gone quickest in Sector 1 and Sector 2 of anyone. He was already 4th fastest, but now this looks like being a very good improvement from Tommy Lindroth, or it would have been. He's bailed the lap, Nico. That amazes me. Purple Sector 1, purple Sector 2.
Yeah, but, you know, at this stage of this qualifying session where all the drivers will put on a new set of rubber.
Yeah, as indeed he's going on to Kirk Berwold's car as we speak.
Indeed, and with only 20 minutes in the qualifying session, that means you have to prioritize your maximum performance, and probably in a 30-minute qualifying he would have continued and finished the lap and taken the banker.
Yeah.
In the condensed nature of this qualifying session, as a racer it must kill you a little bit to have to abandon a 2 purple sector lap in qualifying, but you have to do it for the greater good, and that means fresh rubber, and the progression that you've discussed with your team just takes priority.
Fair point. Now, Motohiko Izazaki, he was looking good in this particular lap, but then got caught up in traffic, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if Motohiko Izazaki comes in. No, he's going to go again. So you can see Sector 2 really hurt him, well, he is about to go again. Stephen Earle is coming into the pit lane now. One assumes to have fresh Pirellis put onto that car. Stefano Guy, driver coach and very successful racer himself. His career, of course, vaulted into the highest echelons of GT racing by competing in the Ferrari Challenge. And as you can see, Dr. Stephen Earle has new tyres put on, and there is the number 107 car of Stefano Marazzi. He's going quick, Nico. Sector 1 is quicker than anyone for Stefano Marazzi. For Rosso Corsa, Kirk Beervold, Stephen Earle, Josef Schumacher, the top 3 at the moment, with Motohiko Isasaki P4. We've got just over 11.5 minutes of this session remaining, which means lots of the Pirelli stock is prepared in the pit lane for those drivers that are coming in following their sighting laps on tyres from yesterday, and ready for the freshest rubber to go on. And it's that rubber, of course, that they will use to try and propel themselves up the order and give them the best possible grid position for the race to come today.
Absolutely, and we can see that a lot of the drivers have changed to new tires, because our timing screen is full with purple sectors.
Yes.
Stefano Marazzi, 2 purple sectors, and that means he is up into P4. Josef Schumacher follows up on his race win yesterday, putting it into the 142s, which is almost 2 seconds quicker than anybody at this stage of the session. Going P1, Henrik Kamstrup comes within a second of him, and we go on board with him here. As you can see, P2 for the time being, but those current positions will change and change again over the next 10 minutes and a half.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Having a nice conversation with Henrik Kamstrup at breakfast this morning, and it's actually remarkably complimentary about our broadcasting, which was very kind of him. We were very complimentary of his driving, because Henrik is he got caught out in some of the skirmishes of yesterday as well, so he'll be hoping that his true performance is able to shine out there on the track. And Henrik has he's been on the podium 3 times this season and just missed out on a podium yesterday, taking P4. So we hope to at least move up a place, Nico. Josef Schumacher for Everline Automobile then, with new tyres on, is some 3/10 up on the previous best time, which was set by him, which is a 142.424. So Josef Schumacher, and there is no doubt about it, Nico, as he climbed into that 488 Challenge Evo car today. You know, when you come off the back of taking a win, it must add, I'm not going to say it gives you some tenths, but it must give you some 100s, I would have thought, in terms of virtual pace. You feel you're good enough to do it now. So a real good battle going on between Josef Schumacher and Henrik Kamstrup. Here comes Henrik now. We're looking for a 142.424, and he crosses the timing line, Nico, with a 141.588. And he lost time in sector 3, I mean, marginally, just proving the point that you don't need every sector to be purple to go top of the charts. Well done, Henrik Kamstrup. Provisionally P1 with 8 3/4 minutes left. First driver as well in Coppa to go into the 141s.
Yes, absolutely, and we see further improvement. Paolo Scudieri just up into P3. Henrik Kamstrup taking a little bit of a extra way around that bend, and that certainly wasn't the quickest way. There is Stefano Marazzi with the 107 car, a good first sector. We will see in just a few moments what he can do through sector 2. The clock counting towards the 1 minute mark, and we will throw that intermediate time onto the screen. Behind him you can see Josef Schumacher, first sector, pretty good. Not purple, but pretty good. Henrik Kamstrup, his first sector was purple. Stefano Marazzi, 6/10 off the pace. And you can see Josef Schumacher is closing in, and that may mean that Stefano Marazzi will just be in the way, or he may provide some slipstream over the final few meters. You never know how it's going to work out, even though I think maybe Josef Schumacher just dropped off a little bit. Well, we will focus on Stefano Marazzi as he rounds the final turn. Very long, stretched corner, not go too wide, and then it is full throttle towards the line. Dave, 141.588.
Becomes a 142.374 for Stefano Marazzi. So 2 personal bests through sector 2 and sector 3. Josef Schumacher has crossed the line. The interesting one for me is Henrik Kamstrup, because he's done purple, purple, purple. Well, purple, purple, grey, and in the end was a 10th down on his previous best time. So Henrik Kamstrup looking very lively in this session, Nico.
Yes, definitely. Very entertaining. And Kirk Berwald, he is trying to go again. He was P1 not too long ago. He's down into position number 4, and he improves back, vaults himself onto provisional row number 1, and that means P2. Motohiko Isozaki, we haven't seen him in a while, which the reason for that was that he was in pit lane.
Yes.
He's just come out again with 6 minutes 40 seconds. He is launching that attack, which we hope it will entertain us, and he hopes it will entertain us and bringing him in pole position. Stefano Marazzi, other plans.
This is the Shell Am is so competitive, Nico. You know, with a spread of drivers and a spread of times, there are probably one of you know, maybe 6 drivers that could take pole position, Nico, and that's, you know, over half the pack, and Stefano Marazzi is certainly one of those. At the moment, he's P7. It's Kamstrup from Berwald, from Schumacher, Scudieri, Lindroth, and Pino Frescaro. A good quality from Pino Frescaro so far as well. So let's see how this plays out in the remaining 5.5 minutes. Well, Stefano Marazzi has, it's P6 with where he is at the moment. Henrik Kamstrup, who is setting some purple sectors as well. To answer that question, the Singaporean-based Kirk Berwald with purples in Sector 1 and Sector 2. P2 is insufficient for Kirk. He wants P1, and oh, you could almost see how much speed he was carrying through that turn. This looks like it's going to be a very good time from Kirk Berwald as he heads towards the timing line now, and he does go P1 with a 1:41.291. So he's taken very nearly 3/10 out of the previous pole sitting time, provisional pole, I should say, from Henrik Kamstrup.
Yes, absolutely, and we're just reaching that 5-minute mark, that almost magical 5-minute mark, because now we're into the final countdown stages, and the man we will have an eye on is number 10 in your program, number 105 on the bonnet of the car. It is Motohiko Isozaki. He's dead last currently in the standings, but that is a result of him being in the pit lane, and we expect full-on attack from the 105 green glowing metal car, which I'm sure our guys in production will find very soon, because he's one to watch for the remainder of this session.
There are more adjectives available, I'm not sure, but Nico used every one of them when he was describing the colouring of the Motohiko Isozaki car as Tommy Lindroth, who's currently P5. Now, Tommy being coached by Fabian Volvend, who's doing a very good job with Tommy Lindroth. Now, Motohiko Isozaki has gone purple in Sector 1. We're not watching him at the moment, we're watching Tommy Lindroth. But as Nico really rather poetically described, and Motohiko Isozaki is going to be one to watch over the remaining just under 4 minutes of this session, as indeed is Tommy Lindroth. Personal best through Sector 1 and Sector 2. Here's Motohiko Isozaki then. The Cornes Motors Sheba driver left it late for putting the new Pirelli rubber on to really give him the best tyres for this qualifying session, the final part of that. You can see the brake discs really bounces the car over the curbs as the brake discs were glowing. So Tommy Lindroth crosses the timing line now and goes to P3. Well done, Tommy. Motohiko Isozaki is still away from rounding that final turn, but he's heading towards it. Here he comes right now, and like Kirk Berwald before him, seemed really to be carrying a lot of speed around that parabolica. From P10, Motohiko Isozaki goes to P2, Nico.
Yeah, and he lost a little bit of time on the final sector, but as anticipated, he wouldn't take P10 lying down. We've got an S for stopped on our timing screen next to the Josef Schumacher car. No indication of any yellow flags otherwise, so hopefully that is not an indication that this remainder of this session is going to be compromised, because Motohiko Isozaki, that was his first flying lap out of pit lane, and a little bit of a sideways moment there. That certainly didn't help his efforts, but he still has pace in the car, and there is Fabienne Volvend. She's not called Moser. Anyway, she is talking up Tommy Lindroth, and he really put in a very, very good lap.
I agree.
As we saw, and he's going with personal best again through Sector 1, so good combination that Tommy and Fabienne form here.
It's worked really well, hasn't it, since since Fabienne has been offering her inspiration and her experience, and she's done a lot of racing as Fabienne, very successfully, including, of course, in the Ferrari Challenge and various single-seater categories as well. So she's a feisty and good racer, and she is using that experience to really push Tommy Lindroth. And we are seeing Tommy back to his best, I think, this season, Nico. It's really, really good to see. I mean, he's a fantastic chap who you cannot help but be entertained by whenever you are in his company. And I still so regret the fact that we were heading out to Anderstorp for a race event, and Tommy had very kindly offered to accommodate us, which I think that would have been quite a heavy-duty weekend had that happened, Nico.
Yeah, possibly. Motohiko Izazaki again looking like he was on a trajectory for pole position, and the final sector didn't quite come together. 1.5 tenths off the pace, but you know, he's still got the pace in the car. He's got one more attempt to do.
This is the only attempt, Nico, he's going to have, isn't it? Because the clock has counted down to a minute, and when he crossed the timing line, this effectively was always going to be his last lap. So I'm tempted to say, Nico, it's now or never for Motohiko Izazaki to wrestle away that P1 position from Kirk Beervold,
who is trying to defend, and that defense involves a purple first sector, so Kirk Beervold is not relying on what he's done thus far. He knows that there is a threat. Motohiko Izazaki first sector, 2 tenths down, so potentially that means it's not in his gift to overtake Kirk Beervold for pole position on this occasion. But, you know, we've seen crazier things, or more crazy things, or crazy things in general in the Ferrari Challenge and in Coppa Shell. Kirk Beervold is not relying on it. He's trying to stretch his legs, and 3 tenths up on his own pole position time. That should definitely secure his position, because Motohiko Izazaki, he's coming up. He has improved in that final, in the second sector, and made up time. The clock hits zeros now, so this is the last times that we will see from our drivers.
Here comes Kirk Beervold heading towards the timing beam then. A 1:41.291 from Kirk Beervold becomes a 1:40.858. What a lap from Kirk Beervold. Here comes Motohiko Izazaki then, and it's a 1:41.960 from Motohiko. So I don't think, even with the likes of Stefano Marazzi and Tommy Lindroth out there, I don't think anyone is going to better that perfect lap from Kirk Beervold, who was 5 tenths up on his nearest competitor. It was a brilliant lap. He left it till last, and it really, really worked for the driver of the 124 car.
Yeah, absolutely. Stefano Marazzi is still trying and is still fighting 1 second off the pace, and that, I think, won't bring an improvement. We have Mutlutazev, who's still going strong, not for a pole position or a row 1 start, but certainly for an improvement from P10 overall, where he resides currently. So we still got quite a few drivers trying to get the very last laugh in this qualifying session, making every second count that they can. Stefano Marazzi crossing the timing line. It's not going to be a 1:48.58. It's not going to be a 1:42. It's a 1:42.373, which is not an improvement. Mutlutazev does go 1 better and goes up into P9, which relegates Pino Frescaro, I'm afraid, to P10. And I think that's it for this session.
I think you're right. It's Kirk Beervold from Motohiko Izazaki. Good quali from Henrik Kamstrup. Stefano Marazzi puts it P4. Tommy Lindroth P5. Yesterday's race winner, Josef Schumacher, P6. Quiet by his own standards, Nico Paolo Scudieri, P7. Stephen Earle, Mutlutazev, and Pino Frescaro. That's the way it looks. And we have our Coppa Shell AM grid effectively for the race to come this afternoon, as the driver of the Kessel number 124 car, Kirk Beervold, has done a very, very good job in delivering a 1:40. The only driver to put it into the 1:40s in our Coppa Shell AM qualifying was Kirk Beervold. We'll give you confirmation of the times in just a moment. The graphics will appear as if by magic right now. Kirk Beervold, P1. Motohiko Izazaki, P2. They will be the front row of our Coppa Shell AM grid. Ahead of Henrik Kamstrup and Stefano Marazzi, Tommy Lindroth and Josef Schumacher, Paolo Scudieri, Stephen Earle, Mutlutazev, and Pino Frescaro. That was Coppa Shell AM qualifying live from the Estoril circuit for Ferrari Challenge. And it's this car and this driver combo that has proven to be so dominant. In qualifying, P1, 140.858 for Kirk Beervold.
Yeah, didn't have the best of races yesterday, and so he could use and did use that 1 point he gets for pole position, and obviously the starting position couldn't be better for the race for him later on.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't get better than pole position. Let's please bear in mind, though, of course, the Coppa Shell Am drivers will be starting in a block behind the Shell drivers ahead of them. So it's not like Kirk Beervold isn't going to have targets ahead of him to overtake, because he will have that.
Absolutely, and that was our quali for Coppa Shell. Trofeo Pirelli coming up later on, Dave.
Yes, please join us for that, if you will, from Nico and from myself right now. Thank you so much for watching both parts of the Coppa Shell qualifying. We'll see you for Trofeo Pirelli in around about an hour and 20 minutes time. Bye-bye for now.
Really good. You P1. Nice, nice. Today you... Yeah.